Have you ever had an idea that you think would make you $1 million that the whole world would either want or buy, but never did anything with it? Sure, we all have. And then the worst part is seeing it on the shelf 6 months later because somebody else acted on that. And you think, damn, that could have been me. On this video, I'm going to share with you what are the keys for turning ideas that we all have into the reality that very few people are then able to make them become. My name is Peter Sage, and over 30 years as an active serial entrepreneur, I've learned a lot about what it takes to have ideas and turn them into reality. And I'm going to give you some of the best lessons that I've learned so that you don't have to make the mistakes that I've made and can take the fast track to making your ideas a reality. Now, the first tip that I have for you is do not fall in love with your baby. So many entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs I see fall in love with their product or their service, thinking that because they see it's amazing, everybody else will see it's amazing. And that's not how it goes. I've seen so many people put capital investment and take time, risk, and build a business because they were certain the market wanted what they had, only to find out the market and them thought two different things. So don't fall in love with your baby, fall in love with what your customers want. Don't focus so much on selling people what they need. Sell them what they want. People buy what they want rather than what they need. See, if somebody's on income support or low income family, they don't need cable TV, but they find a way to pay for it. They don't need cigarettes, but they find a way to pay for it. So when you start realizing that people buy with emotion, not necessity, you can start tapping into what does your product or service do that taps into what your potential customers want, not just because you think they need it. There's a famous question that a Harvard professor asked his class. If they could control one part of a business, what would they want to control? And the example he gave was of a burger joint. What's the most important ingredient for that business that if you could nail it, it would make it successful? And there was lots of different ideas that came back. Somebody says, well, it would have to be the best tasting burger. And somebody else says, oh no, it has to be the right location. Somebody said, no, it has to have the best customer service. All of the different ideas that people thought would make their business successful. Do you know what he said? No. The number one key to making that business work is a starving crowd. In other words, play to your clients or potential customers' desires, their wants, and you will have a big leg up on the ladder when it comes to being successful. The second key tip I want to give you is the reasons for starting your business. So many people filter the reasons for starting a business through the need for certainty. And that can be a fatal mistake. And the reason for that, especially if it's your first business, is that you don't understand the role that certainty and uncertainty play. I've been asked for years, what is the number one characteristic of a successful entrepreneur? Is it street smart? Is it great marketers? No. The number one characteristic of successful entrepreneurs is the ability to handle uncertainty. That's the difference between an entrepreneur and somebody who starts a franchise, for example. People that start franchises aren't so much entrepreneurs, they are people who want to be entrepreneurs but also need the certainty of not having to take a risk of inventing a system that hasn't already been proven. Now, nothing wrong with franchisors. It can be a very smart way of mitigating your risk. When it comes to you starting your own business that's not a franchise, you really need to understand the role that uncertainty plays. Let's say we have a hair salon. We've got a person working in that hair salon. Let's call him George. George is the salon manager. He opens up, he organizes the rota for the staff, etc., and he closes up at night. He never sees the owner because the owner's opening their third or fourth salon. He's thinking, I could really run my own business here. I'm practically running this salon. So he decides that it's time to listen to that part of him that says, go captain your own ship. That part I think we all listen to from time to time. And he starts his own business. Now, question, what business do you think George is going to start? Yes, you've guessed it. Most likely it's going to be a hair salon. Now, here's the key question. Does George start his hair salon because he's passionate about cutting hair? It's what drives him. It's what gets him up early and makes him jump out of bed with a smile, ready to grab his scissors. Or is it because he thinks that's the business he would have the most certainty in being able to make successful because he understands the technical aspect of it? Most often the latter. Now the challenge there is, as most business owners will tell you, There is no certainty in business. So the average time that something shows up in business that wasn't anticipated, that wasn't put in a business plan, that surprises you out of left field is, I don't know, about 42 seconds. So uncertainty is definitely going to show up when you start your own business on things you didn't see coming out of left field. Now at that point, if you've started the business through the lens of certainty, you are going to, when faced with uncertainty, go back to try to do what you can do to replace that uncertainty with certainty. And the way that most business owners do that is to do more of what they know, more of what they're certain about. In other words, George starts cutting more hair. He's working longer hours in the business. Now it's no longer even fun, because they think that being able to handle the uncertainty, you've got to actually get through it with working harder. And working harder doesn't work a lot of the time. Working smarter does. If George had quit his salon job and says, you know something, I'm going to start my own business. And I've always been passionate about baking. My father was a baker, or my friend was a baker. I just love baking. And he starts up his own bakery. And he puts his heart and soul into that. You can taste the love in the pies. You get the idea. When uncertainty shows up, as it will, George has a deeper well to draw from, because this is his passion. He's going to figure out a way. It's something that drives him from a deeper place. If he's starting a business that he's not that passionate about, but it's just going for certainty, he's going to get thrown off the horse a lot easier when the winds of change come along, as they always do. So are you starting your idea or your business based upon passion or based upon certainty? Because that'll have two very different outcomes down the road when uncertainty shows up. The third key I want to share with you here is about identity. Who are you when you start your business? Because I spoke to somebody who was struggling in business, and I said, what do you do? He says, I'm a dentist. I said, okay, you're a dentist, your own dentist, your own business? He says, yeah, I have my own practice. I says, then what business are you in? And he looks at me and says, well, dentistry. I says, no, you're in the business of being able to bring people beautiful smiles. You're in the business of increasing self-esteem. You're in the business of empowering people to bring smiles out of other people by not being afraid to show their own. And when he started to understand that, the entire relationship to his business took on a very different energy, and as a result became more successful. Who are you in relation to your business? And what does your business actually do? Don't think, oh, I want to sell 1 million widgets. Get in touch with what those 1 million widgets are going to do for the people who you are looking to serve. And that's going to give you a different energetic connection that's going to help fuel that passion to create the business that you want. Now, the final thing I want to share with you on here is probably my biggest tip for starting a business. Get a picture of what it will look like when it's finally done before you start. In other words, a vision. So many people start with an idea, and the reason it stays an idea, or the reason it never really comes to fruition, is they don't have the end goal. What does the end goal look like? When you program your GPS, it knows how to get you there because it knows where you're going. If I could give you one tip to really light that fire in your belly, it's create a vision that serves you. Create a vision of what's possible, because you have that inside. You have the greatness that is able to touch many lives more than your own. And if nobody's reminded you of that recently, then I'm glad you watched this video. Now, if you want some more tips on how I've built dozens of businesses over the last 30 years, some into multi-million-dollar success stories, others into multi-million-dollar failures that I've had to learn lessons from, hopefully so I don't make again, and I can save you the trouble of making those mistakes, then click the link below. It'd be an absolute honor to help you get clarity around your vision, to be able to give you the tips that'll make you the entrepreneur you were born to be, and turn those ideas, those latent little ideas that you wake up with in the middle of the night, into something that when your final scene comes, you can look back off and say, wow, now that was something I'm proud of.